from St. Louis. So I was born here and I lived here until
Pull this a little closer.
I lived here until I was 18.
Okay. And like it'll reach all the way back to you. So it's, yeah, you can just get as cozy as you want to get.
Sweet.
And if that is falling, you can, here, I got you.
There we go.
There we go. Yes.
Perfect. But yeah, this is my hometown. I'm from St. Louis. Like I grew up here and like as the saying goes, everyone asks like where you went to high school. And I'm sure you get that all the time. And you're like, I'm new here.
Mm-hmm. So I guess that's relatively normal for any town. Like where'd you go to high school? If you're local, that's where people want to know.
Right.
I don't know shit about St. Louis.
Right.
So what's the scoop on high schools here?
It's super cliquey here.
Okay.
I'm sure Brant can tell you. He went to Westminster, which was like a very like now I can like judge him based on what school he is. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like,
what do you know about Brant because he went to?
I want to go to his parents' house and see what it looks like, you know? So, and then even like with the public schools, I went to public school. So I went to Parkway South and you would know that Parkway West, like those are the type of people who sell like cocaine.
Oh,
and
nice.
Parkway South where I was, where we're all like, you sold
cocaine.
weed, you know?
Yeah, okay.
So you can kind of like, you know, it was just very cliquey and you can kind of, you know, there's tons of, you know, judgments you can make just on, you know, the type of person, or of course you'll know people.
But is it really based on high school or would you say like suburb area? Is it more geographical?
I think both.
Okay.
I think both. I mean, obviously with my public school, it was geographical area, just like regular, you know, so it's pretty middle class, you know, and you could definitely, St. Louis is so segregated about like which area is nice and which area is not.
That seems to be any big city.
True.
I mean, because Baton Rouge has its own thing, and Baton Rouge will get sketchy. But like, I grew up in a small southern town. There wasn't a lot of diversity.
Right.
There was everyone's parents worked at the refinery. We went to one high school, all of us, but we had 2,000 kids at my high school. Mm-hmm. We're a 5A high school, but everyone goes there.
Right.
And then the city next to us, Lake Charles, would have, I don't know, 160,000 people. And so like they've got 4 high schools, but they're very cliquey. There's one that's hood and there's one that's fucking rich, shitty kids who I just imagine are all Zach Morris is what I always pictured the kids from fucking Barb. They were the fucking worst. We'd always fight them at parties.
Yeah, the fights at parties. It's like, yeah. Wait, we really cared who went to whose high school?
Because you went to a different school.
Right. Like, how dare you go to a different school?
How dare you be part of a thing you didn't choose?
Right.
It'd be like me fighting you for your birth month.
True.
Which is just as fucking stupid. Man, there's nothing that aggravates me more than like starting a conversation like with birthdays. It's just one of those that drives me crazy.
When's your birthday?
It's April 6th.
I'm April 12th. But that's cool though.
April.
Yeah. He's April as well. So is Andy.
I'm April 8th.
But none of us picked it. And it's a 1 in 12 chance. It's not fucking rare to be in the same month.
Yes.
Even
true.
the same day is a 1 in 365. Like that's not terribly rare. It ain't like the fucking lottery.
Right.
So I don't know. The birthday thing is one of those that's completely lost on me of like why to care. But
I feel like we're always trying to find some sort of connection.
Sure,
so St. Louis,
sure.
it's like that might happen in every single city, but St. Louis, you know that you're going to get that question asked. You know, it's a St. Louis thing that you're going to ask what high school you went to. You want to find that connection. Thing. And so, yeah, that's just always what you ask when you're from St. Louis. But
so you're here till 18.
Yeah. I went to college in Chicago, and I actually, you know, it was always like a debate, like whether or not I'd even go to school. Okay. And when I grew up, no one in my family thought I'd leave because I was so like scared of everything and like doing things. I know it's hard to believe now.
No, that's interesting though, because at least, I mean, clearly you didn't stay there.
I didn't, and it was a huge deal when I moved, and you know, I just wanted to get out. I mean, I appreciate St. Louis now, but probably like anyone else, I was like angsty. I wanted to get out.
Oh, I felt the same.
I was just like so over it. I never really felt like motivated to do anything in high school. I just like didn't really like the environment. I guess I was too cool. You know, I didn't go to prom. I was that thought I was too cool for that. Right.
Right.
You know, that type of kid. So then I went to Chicago and it was like, it's crazy. It's like, there's no like team sports. There's not really dorms. Like the city is your campus.
Oh shit.
I feel, and so I went to art school actually.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, peace out. I'm going to do this with my life.
What was the degree study?
In graphic design.
Right on. Did you finish in?
I finished and then I got a job for like 8 months.
Sick.
And I was behind a desk going nuts.
You hated it.
I hated it.
So, I mean, how much now are you using that to apply to your own stuff?
I use it a ton
Right.
because obviously you go through like branding and advertising, and we talked a lot about like conceptualization and creativity and stuff like that.
Right.
So that helped me. And then I know we've talked about this before. Like I've done, I design all my website. I've done a lot of my branding. I do a lot of editing, and it's all skills that I acquired at school. And here's the thing, I know it's something I'm going to have to delegate.
Yo, but
I do like that creative part. And that's why I like what I do now, is because I do think that I bring a ton of what I learned from graphic design. So I don't think it was a failure at all that I went to school. I
your degree is super useful.
Right.
Mine's garbage.
It's so useful. But I think I take a lot of pride in so far although I know a lot of it comes from just being a control freak, is doing all my shit because I couldn't afford anyone else to do it. So like figuring out all that stuff, but it's because I have that base of knowledge. So it's like, and anyone can find that out, all that stuff on YouTube, right? But it's like, at least at the base of knowledge. So it makes that YouTube tutorials a little easier.
So, but also what it does, right? And this is something I've realized, and I think you going forward is going to be really helpful. Like once you start putting your team together, like, so me getting Brant and going from me editing every video, me shooting photos, me editing photos, me putting it on the website and doing all those things, including the only thing I had ever hired so far was my buddy Drew and his team at Slash, this creative agency. And what they've done is the graphic design work for me to the extent of I come up with an idea. I can typically sketch. I have a little bit of ability within Illustrator or Photoshop.
Right.
I have enough of an ability to make you as a designer know exactly what I'm looking for.
Which is the most important part.
Yes.
Because even as a former designer, I still have trouble with that too. But I think if you just have to have a really strong like concept of what exactly you want, and
the vocabulary to explain what you want.
Right.
And since you have a background in editing, both video and doing the other, whenever you actually bring a graphic designer on, that's all they do. You have such an ability to pour fucking gas to that team because there's so little translation lost. Right. It's essentially you're picking someone who can get the stuff out of your head faster and better than you.
And I'm really stoked on that. Like, I think all our conversations today have really fired me up to like,
good man,
go at like, get help and get people who are like creative and can do it even better than I can, put my ideas like into work. So,
right. Like, I mean, I didn't avoid hiring anyone. It wasn't that. It was like, I needed to be able to afford it for one. I wish that would be a mistake. I would go back, but I mean, also now I have the right person, which is Brant. I mean, like I had Brock back home and he's great, but I couldn't afford to pay Brock what Brock was worth.
Right.
And so we worked together as much as we could. I didn't have enough to pay Brock to do the daily vlog stuff, and nor did he want to. He really didn't. He's been a professional videographer for a long time, making good money. And so like filming my fucking editing and filming my day-to-day life wasn't what he was interested in, nor does he follow any of that content. He's not in our universe with the lifting stuff or any of that. And so it just wasn't a great fit, despite the skill set's all there and him being a friend. And so, finding someone that is completely into it and into your thing, it's one of those scenarios that it increases your team, despite that it's more money. It increases your team's ability. It's like 1 + 1 = 3. The sum is better than the parts.
Right. I agree. And plus, like, having someone who's like who's creative and also like into like it and get excited about the project. Like, even if you have a photo shoot and a photographer's excited about what you're doing, like, you get excited too.
Right?
It's so different. It's so different. And I think, that's what I'm looking for and what I need. So, and now that I've identified that, I'm like, all right, here we go. I can't wait to get home.
Yeah,
man.
And work on that.
Yeah, I definitely think, like, I know we had briefly talked about it, but definitely, like, Matt brought up a good point with me. He was talking about how it was just, well, we'll just kind of like, do like a video or two or see how like it works out, stuff like that. And I mean, you could do that same thing and like, test them out, feel people out. Cause like biggest thing is like they vibe with you,
Right.
Cause you don't want someone that, sucks to be around.
Well,
that would be a
right.
bummer.
And like, I mean, eye-opening too is, bring someone on green that can grow with you, because none of us are going to afford some fucking, Christopher Nolan's not available to direct my fucking YouTube channel.
Maybe
I can't
not.
afford him.
I mean, we could reach out, but
Right.
I don't know if we're going to get a response.
And so like having someone that grows with you and also giving them creative freedom enough to do their thing and really be part of it.
Yeah, and I'm totally cool with that. I'm so excited. Everyone always asks me like, who designs your tattoos? And we kind of talked the tattoo thing earlier, right?
Yeah.
Like, you hire an artist because you like their stuff. And most of my tattoos are just things that my artist drew. And I'm like, all right, here's your written permission, just do it.
Yeah, right.
It's art, right? So, but I like their style. I vibe with them. I trust them, and there we go.
Yeah,
We're
I did.
good together.
At some point, it switched for me with the tattoo stuff as well, and it really became like I was collecting art more than it was this big meaningful thing.
Right, because like the first one you get so much meaning, and like that, and that's actually what I tell people for their first powerlifting meet. I go, "Do you have any tattoos?" And they're like, "Yeah, I have 3." And I'm like, "Remember your first tattoo?"
Yeah, how much
it has
everything
so much
matters.
meaning, and it was so scary, and like it's like eventually it's like, yeah, it's a tattoo.
And
It's a
not
big
only
deal,
that-
right? But it's like whatever, you already put stuff on your body.
And your first tattoo typically is this one that like you research and you try to like be that mature person in getting your tattoo and find the artist and know what you want and be really picky. And then it's still not the coolest tattoo I have. I've had other tattoos where I'm like, yeah, let's do that.
My first was a baby goat head on my stomach.
Oh, shit.
And he's like, "You're doing so good." And I'm like, I start to cry at that point.
Oh, man. How
but it's
big?
silent tears. I mean, to me, I think it was like huge, but it's like only this big.
So you've covered it?
No, it's still there.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, it's still there. It's like this big.
But you've added or?
Yeah, I've added around it. I don't know
How's
why.
the fucking stomach? I don't
It
have
was
any.
so bad. I
It
got like,
seems awful.
if you heard of like the tattoo flu, it's like after your tattoo, like if it's like a long session, you'll like get the shivers and stuff. That happened, like especially on my sternum. But yeah, it's all memories now because I haven't gotten a tattoo in a while because it's not much of a priority anymore.
Not only that, like they fucking just suck getting them.
Yeah, I don't like it.
No,
at
it's
all.
awful. Like,
I don't like it.
whatever part of me in my 20s that was getting tattooed and had that fuck yeah, like you need to earn it. It's gone. That's been gone so fucking long.
I'm so bummed I've never used numbing cream or anything, but the next tattoo I get numbed up.
I will absolutely. I want to finish my sleeve. I want to finish this one with the portraits and stuff like that. I've got the underarm to do, and then I've got a pretty good gap here. So there's paintings by this guy, Jeremy Geddes. You could probably bring that up. He does some really, really these cool like astronaut stuff. And since most of my motifs have been slowly going to space, do what?
I mean, I see a lot of space things, themed things around here.
Yeah, it's one of
You have an MTV astronaut.
Yeah, that's right. It's just one of those stupid things I found on Etsy, and I've named my podcast treasures. I have a fucking moon, and I was looking for like an actual like Apollo helmet. Yeah, so media, you're good.
Okay.
Yeah, so like if you can't see it at all, can you? Fuck. Go to your right. Yep, down. Oh, this is awful. We'll have to figure out a better way to do this. This is a terrible plan. Bring it back onto your screen and go into transient and look up some of the astronaut paintings that he does. So, yeah, for whatever reason, since I started dabbling with psychedelics, or even beforehand, one of the consistent feelings that kept like reoccurring was this, like being an astronaut. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of how I look at the way I live. And I'm super stoked that I've got like these really rad pockets of friends. And so I've got Steffi and that crew down in Miami, right? And then I've got Rob and Dana and this crew over there. And then I've got Mark, and then I've got like Kelly Starrett and his family and those people. And none of these worlds ever collide. Mm-hmm. Like I'm the piece that moves and knows all these people, but like these two don't know each other and they don't know each other. And then I've never hung out with both.
Mm-hmm. All right. Should be on the screen.
Yeah. So that type of stuff. Yeah, there's just so many rad ones. You're not scrolling, but
am I not scrolling?
No. If you hit like the down arrow key, will that work?
Oh yeah. Hold on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like I'm teaching you how to use a fucking computer for the blind. Fucking laptops for blind people are terrible business plan.
I don't know how far it's going.
Just keep going.
Just keep going.
Yeah. So yeah, more like this one is the one I want to add.
That's
under my
really
arm.
cool.
It's this really detailed kind of astronaut and these doves. But yeah, so that's how I've envisioned myself is I get to go to these different planets. Like I go to the fucking airport and get on a plane and fly to this planet. And I like traveling and staying with my friends in those places because I want to hang out in their world.
Right. Their worlds.
Yeah. That's what I want. And like, so even I've started describing it as like with here and dope, like this is my spaceship. And so like going down to Steffi and them's like, yo, show me your fucking spaceship. Like you built this fucking place. Like tell me the whys and how, and like, why is this the coolest thing? Like, especially now they've got the fantasy factory and
it is like their own like little planets and their own, like, you know, you have your own culture, you have your own, cause you can, the people feel like I think that's why I like Instagram so much. I can see other people's worlds and know that that's like, oh, I don't have to do it this way. Look at how they're doing it. It's way different.
Right.
It's like way different. I'm like, I would love to have that. So I didn't know that even exists. I didn't know I could do that. You know, like they have like their little, you know, their own little planet over there. I can make my own planet.
You totally can, because there's no rules that say you can't. It's not easy, you know, but the risk that people have about that, and like one of the advice they give about risk on that is like, if you have any chance to make it on your own and do and work for you and be your boss and live your life, if there's any chance you're going to pull that off, you'll always be hireable. Someone else will pay you to work for them. So there's not a risk to trying. Like fucking give it hell. And even if you get, dude, if you had 10 years, a 10-year window in your life that you only answered to you, I'll take it. I don't care if it works out forever.
Right. I feel like that's kind of like the magic. And it was really hard for me to like do things I want to do or what will work for me for some reason for so long. And now that I'm like doing just a little bit, like, you know, doing a little bit more and more, I'm like, oh, this is why these people are so successful. Yeah. Because they do shit from themselves, not other people. Right. You know, like they have their good relationships, right? Like you're not selfish, right? But you do things that you're not wasting time. Well, you know,
there's a shift that happens, and it goes from I don't work for the companies that I choose to work with. I work with them. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like, okay, cool. You guys are hiring me to honestly bring value to your company. So how can I be the most valuable for you, which in turn is better for me? Mm-hmm. And as long as I stay focused on the side of how can I be more valuable instead of the side of how much are they paying me, mm-hmm. the paying me part's the side effect that takes care of itself.
Right.
You know, so as long as I'm not chasing side effects, it seems to be pretty good. It's like, don't chase weight loss, chase eating better foods mm-hmm. and more activity.
Right. And that's when people grow impatient or they go frustrated because you're only focusing on the outcome. And it's like, all right, well, the process is way longer. Feeling, you know? And so I always have to remind myself, like, the process is going to be a really long feeling. So let's make this process enjoyable, something I want to do. And also, you know, make the best use of my time.
Sure. So from art school into strength sports.
Yeah.
How do we get there?
So I was like sitting at my desk every day as a graphic designer. And I was like, I feel like a lot of people have a similar story where they're unhappy with their body. And so they start lifting weights. And that's what I did. I had a boyfriend at the time who like was kind of into bodybuilding, kind of like bodybuilding.com type era, right? Sure. And so he taught me how to lift, and I would do the squat, bench, deadlift, but I also got really into HIIT training and like taking like 3 scoops of Craze pre-workout and like doing HIIT training for like 3 hours. I was in shape. I would like jump rope between every set. I would do like hundreds of lunges. I was like, you know, but I was super skinny. I lost only 25 pounds, but for me, that was a lot. I was like 160, ended up at 135.
Well, you're not petite. You're relatively tall, right? Like, so
I'm 5'6". So yeah, like I wouldn't say I'm small at all. So
no, and you have a skeleton that was willing to support you apparently getting into Strongman later. So what I'm saying, like you're not trying to get down to 130.
No, I was like eating like 1,200 calories a day, doing tons of HIIT. But at that time I was like, I'm going to be a personal trainer now, you know, like
and
I
weird,
know
that
the
affected your body positively, a big caloric deficit and massive amounts of HIIT training.
I was like, you know, I found the secret, right? Like, woohoo.
Yes, the secret.
It was just, I loved training, but I wanted to just be really skinny.
Sure.
And then, so I actually, I was in Chicago, I was downtown Chicago, and there was a personal training school next door to my work. And so I quit my graphic design job, and then I started just going to the building next door in the basement and went to personal training school, which is a thing.
Sure.
Which is like, they just like teach you the course.
I've never worked in a gym.
Yeah. So like they teach you the you know, NASM, and then you can, it's kind of like you're an intern, and like you'll have like worker people like from the next door building come down and have like a lunchtime training session with you. And I really liked it. I was really into just like overall health and fitness. I didn't know what the frick I was doing.
You get more time in the gym.
Yeah. You get more time in the gym.
Seems like a plus. I love this place.
Yeah. I love this place. I'm going to work in the gym.
I can help other people love this place.
Yeah. And I was like so excited. And so I started working in personal training. And then I went to a friend's powerlifting meet, like an acquaintance. And I saw like them all lifting and like screaming at the weights and like being all strong. And I was like, I saw some of the girls out there and I was like, I can do that. Like, come on. I totally have benched 80 pounds. Like I am going to train for this for like 3 months and like be great. You know, like what if this is my thing, you know, like be so good at it, so strong. And so I just trained on my own for like 3 months and competed. Then I started programming myself and, you know, training and competing until I got a little bit stronger. And then I, you know, just fell in love with the sport and learned more about it. And
did you grow up competing, doing athletics or anything?
No, not at all.
That's why I'm curious of like, so many people have that barrier, right? To like, holy shit, like never actually put it on the line.
Right.
To compete in a thing. Where was the jump? Like,
so I definitely got addicted to kind of pushing my own limits because, like I said before, when I was like a kid, I suffered from like really bad anxiety and like a panic disorder. So I kind of started saying like pushing myself and like any way possible, really. I kind of just started, I just wanted to feel like I wasn't missing out on anything anymore. Like I didn't want to say no to opportunities anymore. I didn't want to like, because I missed so much. I stayed home, like from school, like most days. So I just wanted to experience things.
Just due to anxiety.
Due to anxiety, and that's it.
What was, I mean, clearly that's no longer the case.
Right.
What was the avenue to get around it, or what was the root cause you were able to put a finger on? So
I don't know the root cause because like, as much as I know, I have no sort of like trauma or anything. I was little, but it was a panic disorder. So it'd be like 20 panic attacks a day. Like thinking I was like throw up, like in the toilet, like in the nurse's office. Like,
yeah, that's fully
not
debilitating.
going to school, like debilitating, like Xanax in 5th grade type stuff. And so at those days, the cure was always just medicine.
Yeah.
And then like,
which,
you know,
it's
and
not like
therapy,
that's different.
and therapy, which is like, which was good because it was just giving me coping mechanism. But it's not like I was like going through a trauma, like trying to figure anything out. But, I just remained steadfast and just kept trying to get better. And that's why people didn't really think I was going to ever go anywhere. And it was always like, I felt like I was like questioned, like if I was going to be able to do something. And
I guess that makes sense.
And
right?
I think it
like
just stays with me. It's just like, I don't want myself to limit myself anymore, like ever again. And if I said, oh, I'm not going to compete because I'm scared of, not PRing or failing, or bombing out, then I'm like, well, that was just my fault. I didn't do it.
Right.
So I just wanted to try and go for it. And that morning I did wake up with a panic attack on my first meet. It was so much adrenaline. And I was like, but like, you just go out there and you use it. So
yeah, I think anxiety gets misdirected a lot of times and people want to treat it as something other than energy. Mm-hmm. And so, either you can cultivate it and use it. I think, like Custom Auto, Tyson's boxing coach has a great line that I've always liked. And it's like the hero and the coward both feel anxiety. And if you look at that anxiety as fire, they both feel it. They both can be burned. Neither one's invincible, but the difference is the hero uses it to forge tools and cook his meals and warm his family's home and make a life, wherein the coward panics and lets it burn down the room. The fire is not any different. One's energy and the other's anxiety. And so I think it's important to try to figure out how to rephrase sometimes with anxiety and use it.
Right. Especially when it was so phrased as like a problem or like, something that because it really did define my life at the time.
And not only but panic attack to me and anxiety are different because one's just such an extreme.
Both,
yeah.
And I'm sure I still have probably what they say, like generalized anxiety, feel like
everyone in our generation.
I'm like, I feel like everyone does, but it's like, or maybe it's just like a feeling that I know how to like use now or, process it. But I'm really thankful I did because like back then, because I feel like it's helped me in situations as an adult.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
Thank
right.
goodness. But it definitely, I think, has shaped me now of like, no, I want more. I want to push myself more. I've come this far. So it's like, keep going.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. I think that's wildly impressive to have a debilitating anxiety issues and then be someone willing to get on the platform and compete and build that confidence in that you perform.
Right. And there was a long time before it was debilitating to like the platform for sure.
Sure.
But I feel like I was dealing with so much of that stuff when I was younger. Like it took me a while to catch up with dealing with other things like in life,
Do you think once you got into the HIIT training and like found success there that it built confidence and kind of self-esteem and some self-worth?
I definitely do because I started like my weight loss journey. I don't really technically think I needed to lose weight, but maybe I was needed to be healthier and be active because I didn't really have much activity at the time. I would
also if you wanted to lose weight, you're allowed to do that.
Right. Yeah. But I felt like I didn't really have like right now, like if I want to lose weight, I want to lose weight. I'm a goal in mind. That one, I was just like, I feel like shit about myself. I want to get as small as possible. And when I got as small as possible, I was like, I'm just a noodle. I don't even feel good about myself, So, but I had to go through that process to realize, okay, like, I learned how to meal prep. I learned about the macros. I learned about how it affects my body. I was able to teach my clients things and stuff like that.
Everything you picked up from diet, like I didn't get until basically the end of my career. So like 2014, like probably going after that Worlds, I was going. So after, 2012, when I won, I was big. I was probably 285, 290. And then I dropped weight in 2015, got to like 265. What have you done, Brant?
Oh God, there's so many things happening at once.
And then dropped weight to like 265. I was working with Jesse Burdick and we just did keto. It was just as simple as possible. We're not tracking anything.
Right.
So that helped. And then gained a little bit of weight back through the rest of my career. And it wasn't until like after I was hurt that I started working with like a nutrition coach or a hybrid. And I actually learned how to fuel instead of, oh man, there's some things that make logical sense nutrition wise of like, I'm eating fucking garbage for the most part, like doing Highland games and stuff that I would think is quote unquote healthy. Right. Like everything's on tortillas. That's because
you want
healthier.
You want to believe it. You want to believe it. And like, you know, obviously like in our industry and like as a coach, it's, there's so much like false information out there. And also
there's
like,
a lot of people who want to be misled.
Right. Yes, exactly. And
and as long as there is, someone's happy to take that job.
And that is not why that is exactly why I don't do nutrition coaching myself. Because it's, you know, if people don't want to believe it, then they don't have to. No,
man, I get tons of questions even still now that I'm dropping more weight and like, you know, what have you done to lose weight in your midsection? Like, that's not how this works.
That's not how it works.
Fuck, that's not how this works. We're still talking about toning?
Right.
Are we still fucking trying to use the tone, like firm and tone?
Right.
Like, that's not a thing.
I just think you just need to like try until you see some type of weight loss. And then you're like, I know the secret. And then you got to keep going. I really do. Because even when I recently cut and it was maybe like 5 or 7 pounds, but I felt like it made a big difference. I felt it was like a good.
I thought you had a giant body composition change in that 5 to 7.
Right. I think so too. And it was like so, like it wasn't frustrating, but it was like, so like, am I doing the right thing for like the first month? Like I was just like, you know, trying to get a little bit more and more consistent, like just doing my best. And then eventually started seeing some results. I think people don't try long enough either.
Right.
And obviously try the right things, but it's like, keep doing it. Like keep like at it.
It does take a long time. Like
if you don't figure it out, you can't just like pull back. You need to like push forward a little bit more.
You got fat over 30 years.
Right. You got fat over 30 years. Like
for
we're
me, not going to knock this out in the next 6 weeks, man.
Yeah. Like 2014, I was like 135. Right. But also there was a few years like recently where I was like, I did know about nutrition. I was doing it, but I wasn't doing like maybe 70% and eating lots of pints of ice cream. So it was like, right. It wasn't like,
I don't know if you've had ice cream. They're fucking awesome.
I know. So I know I can do better than this if I want to composition change. Just like what's my priority right now? I mean, everything. I love it all. But I mean, right now it's strongman.
Sure.
And keeping my body healthy, keeping pretty lean, keeping strong is like important to me. And, you know, I don't want to.
Now, where weight class, like, where does that fit in anymore?
So 140 to 180.
Okay.
And so I'm like 167 right now, which is not like the best. Don't you want to be huge, right? But like
you want to fill out a class.
Fill out a class, right? But I'm comfortable here. At the Arnold last year, I was 180.
Sure.
Which is the heaviest I've ever been, like in the morning.
Right.
In powerlifting, I competed from 148 to 181. But I was never weighing 181.
How did you feel at 181?
I mean, very quote unquote strong. I felt
I know what you mean.
I felt really broken for the Arnold, so it's hard for me to say strong, but I felt solid. But I see pictures of myself and I'm like, feel like I look bloated and like, I just didn't, you know, I mean, that's whatever. I went to the Arnold in my first year of strongman. I'm really proud of that. But like, I'm also just like, damn, I didn't feel like I was like, how did I suddenly I'm 10 pounds heavier? And then it's like, and then I see the pictures like, oh yeah, I was definitely 10 pounds heavier there, you know, like,
sure.
But I felt strong. I did. And I didn't feel slow. I mean, I wasn't like, didn't have enough body fat and I wasn't very in shape still.
Well, you didn't put on 40 pounds.
Right.
Right. And like, man, I've seen that. I've seen people go that route that like, we're getting big and strong. And like the big one I've ever seen that in was in like weightlifters. Mm-hmm. Weightlifters, especially a dude, as soon as they break 300 pounds and you're in heavy, it's just why not weigh 400 pounds?
Right.
If we're already going to only be as heavy as possible. And like, if every pound of body weight is not adding X amount of kilos to that total, stop.
Yeah. And it's also about like, you know, people ask me like, okay, well, I want to train for powerlifting, but my blood pressure's high or I'm like pre-diabetic and I want to lose weight. I'm like, and so which one should I do first? I'm like,
The health one.
Right. The health one.
The one with pre-diabetic.
Yeah. And it's like,
oh man, don't focus on your fucking total. Like,
yeah. And I'm like, you're that much, like you need to lose that much weight, then it's probably not going to affect your total as much, but really benefit you to like,
well, at least rebuild the base foundation.
Right. Rebuild the base foundation.
Like, let's get rid of these fuck ups.
Right.
And then we can focus on strong.
Right.
Instead of these are going to shorten
right.
or these will hamstring us.
Right. And that's not, that's with everything. I mean, I fucked my foundation for strongman. I mean, I should have spent more time like building some more technical skills, even with powerlifting, right? Like we all jump in. We're like, I've lifted weight for a year. Yes, I'm going to put 1,000 pounds on my back, which I'm more like, start. There's no too early to start, but like make sure that when you're starting, you are starting on the foundation.
You learn some lessons there with the body fighting back, saying like, nah, you pushed too far.
Right. Yes.
Anything that's sidelined you for any real amount of time, or
for me, no. I mean, I'm lucky in that. I mean, in that way, I definitely for the leading up to nationals last year or 2019 and the Arnold, my hernia discs were really acting up and really giving me pain. So much so, like, it was hard to put my pants, that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't, I'd have to, like, roll over in bed like this. And
it's all part of our lives.
Matt's no stranger to pain.
So that
Stiff,
was pretty bad. It took me a long time after the Arnold and to, like, let that inflammation and stuff go down and work on the things like my core strength and my bracing. That was fucking up my back in the first place. Because I had like 2 shows of like axle bar 4-inch deficits of 375 pounds for reps. Like, and I was like, just like rounding them out, using my whole back, like just being like super aggressive, which I wish I could. I'm working on getting that aggressiveness back now. But like, that made me, I feel like that whole last year since Arnold, I've been slowly building back up.
Though.
So I feel like really good right now.
But it gives you such like exponential growth plan if you continue to take care of the foundation.
Yep.
And not only that, like with the technical sports, especially what I liked about Highland Games, and I feel was the same when the little bit of jiu-jitsu I got to do, that like they're both so technical in such technical sports that I don't need to go in and try to be strong because I have that card. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not going to go in there and learn anything just being a gorilla other than try to appease my own ego to fucking tap out some other idiot who doesn't know what he's doing. What have I fucking gained from that? Nothing. So why not just get my shit beat out of me by a bunch of dudes who know what they're doing and try to learn as much as I can. And then once I have a concept of some technique, then I can play this other card that no one else in the room has. Mm-hmm. And then that card's really valuable.
Yeah, because you played the game right too, though. Like it
takes some. I wouldn't say I've always played it that way, but this is what I think.
Well,
now.
That's the thing now. I think back. Let's see. I switched sports, so I wasn't powerlifting, and I switched to strongman, which, like, I had that base of strength.
Yeah.
And then
strongman's fucking hard.
Right. I had the base of strength, and so that's why I thought I had enough of that strength just to pull it off. Right. And I feel like that's maybe what I did.
For sure.
But now I'm going back and I'm like, I did that a little wrong. So let's build it back up. And I want to be sharp. I want to be like legit. I want to be like super, super strong woman, Christy. Like, hell yeah, I want to dedicate, more time learning the skill and, put my all and build my way back up to it. So now it's a little bit longer game, not a rush to go here or there. But definitely plans to go big.
Yeah. Like any big lifts, like you can think of that, like that one was important or like was a milestone goal that you actually celebrated?
Oh, for strongman?
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely do. I did a 180 log, which was big for me because for a long time I was feeling log at like 135. So I was like, I couldn't believe I pulled it off. And that was huge for me, but my log has gone down since then. So I'm kind of chasing that back up.
But you've also changed body weight.
Yeah.
That's how the game works.
Right.
You don't get both.
I know. Like,
right.
darn it.
But for me, it's the muscle memory. Mm-hmm. It's always been there. And it's less that I feel that I lose strength with the body weight, but its leverages change and timing change. And that's the one that it takes some time for you to refigure out those at the new body weight.
Right.
There's definitely some strength loss.
Mm-hmm. I definitely felt that too. And then and now I feel like I'm building back up and I'm like, I feel my muscles again now.
Yeah.
You know, like it feels really good.
For sure. Now, I like those goals and having, different lifting goals or different competition goals or even business goals. How much celebration do you give yourself whenever you hit one?
Not much, because it's usually on to the next thing.
Yes. That's something also I notice with everyone.
Yeah.
And I think that's important for people to hear, because you figured out that there's not really a there. Mm-hmm. And like what we've talked about earlier is that it's the process that you're in love with, not the effect.
Right.
That like all the trophy is and the PR is an indicator that we're going the right way.
Right.
So keep on.
Exactly. And that's a big reason I love strength sports. Cause I mean, like, it's not the NFL. Like, you're not making tons of money for this. It's truly just because you want to be better.
Yeah.
And like, whether that's better than yourself, better than another person.
It's a really fucking weird pursuit as a species. Like, it really doesn't
make
weird. Any
sense. And it's
whatsoever.
like everyone tries to psychoanalyze strength athletes, or, like,
we're no different than anyone else.
I know, but like, especially something that like, I don't think about because I'm always around female lifters, but people be like, why do you want to be in such a masculine, strong sport? Like, did you have something to prove? Like,
I've never thought that about it.
I didn't either, but I think it's because we're in the world, like,
right?
Like, okay. I don't realize that I'm like jacked compared to another human, because I'm looking at this girl being like, damn, I want to be jacked like her, So, or I'm like, she's bigger than me, or we're all the same. We're all jacked. We're both, walking around.
Yeah,
just
I've never considered myself a big person.
Right.
And currently
because
being
you
like
hang out
6
with
foot
really
240. Right.
Big people.
Right. And I only realize occasionally with like full civilian friends, and I'm like, oh, holy shit. I'm 100 pounds heavier than anyone in the room, and I'm the lightest I've ever been.
Yeah, being around, like, just having been around, like, in the space longer now, like, seeing just, like, normal people is super weird. I'm like, you're so tiny.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you're normal.
Right.
I'm like, this is average. This is like an average adult man. I'm like, this is wild.
No, for sure.
Right. It's just like when, it's just like if someone with tattoos, like people will notice them and go, hey, like, let me see that, or did it hurt? Blah, blah, blah. It's the same thing. Like, if,
right.
If we go out
we'll
somewhere
never have a conversation and be like, all right, let me show me your tattoos. Because you have them and I have them, and you didn't get them for me.
Or talk about your muscles, or how strong you are and stuff like that. Because like, and that's so weird, because like my world, or at least our planets, are like just jacked aliens.
For sure. And and we all get it already.
Yeah. It's like,
we're not going to sit around and talk about fucking
looks
programming.
like that. Yeah. So
because
people still do that sometimes.
I know, but it's so fucking arbitrary.
Like,
the program, the one that works for you is the one you should do. Mm-hmm. I also recommend try a lot of things.
Right. Yeah. Like,
and then pick and choose the parts that did and figure your own shit out.
Exactly. Like, how do you think that I started? I just like found programs that I did, or someone.
What was your first program like that you remember running?
531.
531. Mm-hmm. Jimmy Wendler.
Yeah. And there were some guys. Do you know American Family Fitness? It's in Illinois. It's like right over the bridge. It's like,
as I did it.
What'd you do?
There we go.
I can see what I'm doing now.
Whoa, good work, dude.
I love Google.
American Family Fitness is in Illinois, and it's like, just right over the bridge pretty much.
Okay.
And I forgot what city it's in or what it's called, but it's pretty like nothingness. Sorry, American Family Fitness. But I would go there, I would drive there, and it was like kind of scary and sketchy. I'd go there, and I paid $5 a month because I had a quote unquote out of town membership, and the owner really liked me. He always wanted me to go on a date with his son, who was
weird.
always like in the back. It was weird. But I would go in there. There's no lights on. It smelled like pee everywhere.
Oh, God.
But there were a group of 5 men. So if you're out there, guys, I want to be reconnected with you guys because I love you guys. 5 middle-aged they're geared lifters that were natural, like proud natural geared lifters.
This is where our stories would part ways.
Yeah.
I got into powerlifting geared first too, but was not natural.
Exactly. That's why
this is very odd.
I just say it. And but they still had that very like group West Side mentality.
Were they big dudes?
4 middle-aged, middle-aged natural guys, I think.
Okay. Cause the powerlifters I were around.
No, they weren't like, I'm like super, they weren't like super skinny guys. They're big. Okay. They're big. They had lots of years on them lifting. Yeah,
my dudes all looked like geared powerlifters from that age. They were all 300 pounds, bald with a fucking goatee.
Yeah,
and identical.
Right, and there was one named Sam, and he was the oldest. Like really bald. He had like his hips replaced too. Yeah. He still did sumo and like briefs.
Hell yeah!
And like
perfect powerlifter.
They kind of did a program for me that was like 5-3-1. They kind of like adjusted it for me, like for like what my like 3rd or so meet. This is when I briefly moved back to St. Louis for a year and a half. And so I'd go out there and lift with them every weekend. And I was working at Lifetime Fitness at the time. So like the juxtaposition between the gyms was funny. But they just did it like out of love, and like just like let me be part of their group, which I was, maybe like 24 at the time. And just love powerlifting, and they wrote me. I still have the pieces of like, computer paper that they wrote it out for me. And no one at social media, I didn't have any of their numbers, but they were just like, they're like a lifting group, and like, it was definitely just made it really fun. And so, yeah, it doesn't really matter what program I was on at the time. It just meant like,
and you're so new to it that anything works.
Anything works.
Right. Just go, man. Don't get caught in that panic of trying to figure out the perfect program. Like, let me help you. There's not one. The one you believe in is going to be the one that's great.
Believe in, stick with it.
And the one that you would adhere to the longest. That's the one that wins. And don't get hurt.
Right. Don't get hurt.
So did you do geared powerlifting at all, or did you just go raw with them?
I just went raw.
Okay. The geared stuff.
They tried to put me in like briefs once.
Yeah.
Just like for fun or like an accessory, but I mean, that was it. But yeah,
So have you had to use gear with the Strongman or anything?
No.
Is it technically Strongman, or do I have to say Strong Woman?
No. So that was so confusing to me. Well, at first, because I say Strongman. The sport is called Strongman.
Yes.
Okay. I am a strong woman, but I compete in I would say I compete in Strongman.
Yes.
But at first I had trouble being like, I am a strong woman who is competing in strong man. But I don't think I've never heard a strong woman be like, oh no, it's strong woman.
I've never heard that.
I've never heard that.
Anyone complain about
I think
that.
I've never heard
anyone. I'm sure someone eventually will.
Right. I've never heard of
someone who doesn't compete in the sport will see it and read it and go,
what I was
how
saying. It'll
dare
be
they?
from someone that doesn't actually.
It's just easy. I do strongman. Because I was like, I compete in strongman. Because I've had my parents ask me to. My dad will write like a Facebook blurb about his daughter in the strongman competition. And how do I say it? And because it is, I guess it would be confusing if you think about it, but it's not. It's just strongman.
Well, look, if you have had the second thought at all, you're on the right page. You're not trying to be a dick.
Yeah. True.
You know what I mean? And I think some context matters. Like instead, and maybe that's because we operate in a world right now that's so text driven that you don't get context and you don't get facial expressions and things like that. And that's a lot of weird stuff, especially I think about with current situation with mask and everything else. And then especially people that are so text driven because you're not having eye to eye conversations with people, that empathy and 90% of communications is done in nonverbal. And you've eliminated all of that.
Right. I mean, and everything then it's text driven seems way more extreme, like it just seems, and it's just like, it makes it like two-sided, and,
right.
And that is hard to deal with. Cause I'm like, I know I'm not the only like, quote unquote, like just like rationally even person. Like they're like, let's think about this a second, type person.
But there's not a ton of us.
But it's like, I think it just puts so many people, just two groups.
Well, I do believe there's a ton of us.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't believe we're very loud.
Yeah.
Whereas either side, especially, it seems either side has gone. It's kind of amazing where they've put the heavy value into a thing, like whether it's whatever their gods are and whether that God is the fucking Constitution and that's not allowed to be argued with or discussed or thought about, and like as if it was given down to us by the fucking divine and not just dudes who wanted to get the fuck out of England. And the same with, I mean, those who believe a political stance aligns with religion. It's really tough to have a conversation with someone when their belief is built on a deity.
Right.
And so they don't waver much. They don't have logic to it.
Right. And I also feel like sometimes it's harder to feel like it's okay to, change your opinion or change your mind. Like when you're just in like a certain echo chamber.
You're fucking should always.
Yeah.
At least it should always be up for debate that you should have to argue why not in your own head.
Right. And so, and when you're in that certain echo chamber, that seems like the only thing is right, And so I feel like it's been good for me to hang out with different people.
Yeah.
And get to know different people and hear more opinions. But it is kind of scary because obviously we both have bigger platforms of like, if I express this opinion, are they going to lump me in with all these other opinions? Because,
because that sucks, right? Because we do live in such this weird polarizing time that somehow if you understand my stance on the Second Amendment, that should also put together how you think I feel about BLM or defund the police, or how I feel about fucking abortion, or a pandemic, which my decision to have a concealed carry and train on a firearm somehow has to do with a virus. Like you can have a different opinion on those things, but people like that fucking line in the sand because now you're part of a team.
Right. And once you get out of that echo chamber team, honestly, I feel a lot better.
Fuck yes.
Because I'm not as stressed out because I don't want to put all the anxiety and stress.
I don't want to play the game. I don't want to argue with anyone about this.
I don't.
If anyone even starts that shit now and like really wants to go, I'll just go, you win. Yeah, I think like you now. How's that? Is that cool? We can stop doing this and I can get the fuck out of here. Yeah. Like, I don't have the fight in me to try to convince you. I don't give a shit what you think. Good luck. Like you're and you're allowed to think whatever you fucking want. And so am I.
Right.
Like that's the one with freedom of speech that I think gets fucked up. Freedom of speech is not a freedom of consequence.
I totally agree.
Freedom of speech means they don't come to your house and arrest you and put you in fucking jail.
Right.
That's the freedom part. This isn't illegal. It's not free of consequence. Like if your speech causes violence, it's a fucking problem. You're allowed to tell us your opinion.
Yeah.
But you're not allowed to act as though your opinion can't be questioned.
Yep.
Like it's a fucking opinion. I'm also allowed to disagree with you. I'm allowed to fucking offend you. And you're allowed to change the fucking channel or unfollow. We have all that ability. I don't understand why people don't enjoy the ability to mute things more. Just like, fuck, you don't have to fucking listen.
Yeah. And once you realize that, you have a lot more free time.
Well, I mean, why do you think people like being fucking mad so much or outraged?
I don't know. And I think there's definitely arguments to that of like, all right, well, maybe this thing does affect their life so much and we are privileged that it does not. And we can check out, right? There is that argument. And I don't know how to counter that argument because if I am in that privileged spot, then it's like, well, and I understand your pain and I'm sorry.
Right. I can be empathetic.
Right.
Man, but maybe that outrage comes from, having the regular job, doing the 9 to 5 thing and being trapped a little bit to where you're in such routine that you have so much available RAM in your head to think of all this other shit. Mm-hmm. But it has to be kind of mindless shit because you have this job thing.
Yeah, I think a lot of it just stems from people being unhappy with their situation and then just...
Or maybe not unhappy, but content.
Yeah.
Content and in routine. So you're not on the gas anymore.
Yeah.
And so you're just idling, which gives you so much free time to think about all these things. And if you're not thinking about growth, you're just looking at shit.
Yeah. But I think
you're just being distracted.
I think a lot of people are looking for just help or like a handout to just come to them as well, rather than...
I think a lot of people are looking for distraction, and like negativity fucking groups people. Misery loves company. Mm-hmm. And if you think someone else's happiness or the decisions that they make have affected your happiness, I get the outrage. It's just not true.
Yeah.
You know, that's a mindset. That's a real trap that people get stuck. Yeah, and they're fucking stuck and won't ever back out. Mm-hmm. And like, I mean, at least, we were talking about stuff with your business and that, you know, right now, like growing and trying to figure things out, that you had realized with the personal training that, holy shit, there's only X number of hours.
Right.
I think about things right now as like, if my life is just this big, long maze that I'm trying to get from this end of the table to that end of the table and work my way through. Like I may work all my way up to here and then realize, oh, that's an end, but I can choose to stay here and that's the best it's going to get. But to get further that way, I have to go way far back. And most people aren't willing to go the back because of time invested or any of this. The fallacy of sunk cost or time.
Right. For some reason, I've never been afraid of that. I've more so been like, all right, like, let's do it. But it's more so like, did I put enough time and effort in this route? You know, is kind of what I always question. You know, when I was in Chicago, then I moved to LA. Like, was I running towards my new dreams? Or was I running away the fact that I was burnt out? Right. I did realize there was a cap to like how much I could make, how successful I could be, you know, because I was training 12 hours a day, but I was also like, you know, trying to grow my business on Instagram and all these things at the same time and, you know, do all my own managing. And so, yeah, realizing that and being like, there is a different way, and meeting people who did things differently, you know, was amazing to me. I was like, what? Wait, I can do it like that?
Right.
You know?
And it's cool because like, you don't have to follow my playbook, but I want to get as much information and data as possible of different people who've done it well, that have followed a path I like. And then at least I have more information to give myself options. Right. And so, man, that's been a really cool shift as well. Now, like parents have been supportive of everything, like always kind of growing up. Like,
yeah, they definitely were, very supportive for like
moving to LA. And
they're just like
everything.
Yeah.
Right on.
Just do it, you know, just, okay. That's
Hell
crazy.
yeah.
You know, crazy Christy. She's going to go do something else now.
Yeah. I ended up being that kid too.
Yeah. I'm the middle child.
One. Yeah. I'm the young one.
Do whatever you want.
Yeah. Yeah. I was expected to be weird.
Yeah. They're just like, hey, I'm glad that as long as you're happy.
So would you ever move back to LA?
No.
Your time there's done.
It's done.
What about California in general?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's so many other places to live.
Yo, for sure.
So if I want good weather, there's other places with good weather. You know, there's just so many different opportunities. There's so many different places I like. I do like the beach. I do like the mountains. I love nature. So as long as it's good nature, but now I'm starting to appreciate the different costs of living.
Yeah, of course, right?
And I'm like all right, I can go visit those crazy big places. Cause I did like I used to love that fast paced, like, you know, hustle and bustle, but it was like, there's so much time suck in living in a city.
But it's not a real hustle and bustle. It's everything takes too fucking long.
It just was so inconvenient. It's like so long and expensive. And I was like literally killing myself to live there. Like, you know, it's like, it was way above my my means. So it's like my life was pretty simple and I couldn't invest.
So how gnarly
as
was your apartment of like?
Oh, it was like $1,800 a month for a 1 bedroom, with like roaches and like
square feet.
Not cute.
You know the square feet?
No, I don't really understand that, but it wasn't that small. I mean, that was when I was in Anaheim. I was in Long Beach before, and my rent was like $1,600, and it was tiny. And I just never felt like safe. You know, just because like the parking was so far away, and I still was like in a city, and I'm used to bigger cities like Chicago. Like even if you're in a quote unquote safe area, you're still in a city, right? There's gonna be crime. So that's
been a wild advantage that I rarely have had to think about.
No, now I'm like I live with Gary and I have a driveway and a mailbox, and I haven't had a package stolen once.
Oh,
and I'm like, oh my god, like
people live this way. This isn't just a normal part of life that you have to accept as some percentage of your shit doesn't get to your door.
I have had a rogue belt stolen. That's the last thing I had stolen, and I still haven't replaced it because I was like. Shit. Like, have fun with my lifting belt.
Oh God, right? Like,
what are you gonna do with that?
I'm so bummed with what you've gotten here.
They're probably so bummed with all this stuff. They're like, more bottled water.
Fuck is this? Yeah, it's probably in a dumpster, 100 yards from your place because they opened it and they're like, fuck. I thought this was gonna be.
I put out when I was moving. I moved pretty fast, and during the pandemic from LA to Greenville, South Carolina. So I just put out, I was like, people went through our trash all the time. So I just put out the microwave knowing that someone's gonna take it. It was like my very last day. I couldn't go donate anything else. Literally 2 minutes later, I hear a boom. Someone blew it up with an M80. And so I had to go out there. I went out there and cleaned up all the glass.
Oh man.
Shit.
I know a little something about unsafe neighborhoods.
Yeah, Jesus. Brand's been having a rough time.
Yeah, so, oh, really? Where do you live?
Or living?
I lived over, you know where the Loop is, right? I'm assuming. Okay. I lived like a mile, I guess, towards the city. So, like, it's the weirdest area because where I lived was this apartment building. And the reason I didn't mind moving there is because when we originally moved to St. Louis, it was like, the house that we were living at was like a mile from where I was going to be living. So it wasn't like that far, but it's this intersection in like only like a block away is all of these gated communities and these ridiculously big houses, like nice houses, like old, big mansion kind of houses and stuff.
What road were you on?
I was on Delmar.
So
okay. Delmar Boulevard. So that's the road I was on. But yeah, I mean, it's a weird little lawless spot over there. Yeah. Everyone like there's no such thing. Red lights are all stop signs.
I love that I've noticed this now that you explained it to me.
Matt had never seen it before. And then I mentioned it to him. I'm like, dude, do you not like see this all the time?
No, Kings Highway, people just don't give a fuck.
I'm pretty sure that day we were at the intersection of like Manchester and Kings Highway and we watched a guy go. It's an incredibly busy intersection, by the way. And a dude just goes through the red light after like there was just because there's this period where there's nobody going and then he just goes through it. And I'm like, everyone, you just saw that, right? And I'm just like, this is what I'm talking about all the time. I look both ways every single time I go through green lights because people they just drive straight through, especially when you get past the hospital over here, like all those lights where it's just like three ways. Just zoom in, especially at nighttime. Yeah. So it was brutal. But like my car had gotten like the rear, the bumper, like scraped up by paint from someone pulling out. That one wasn't that bad, but still, vandalized. And then I remember I was about to go film something with Matt. I came out and my whole wheel was gone. Like just the wheel was gone. Like I didn't understand what I was looking at when I was walking towards it. Like I couldn't comprehend that someone just took my wheel.
I get it. There's something like when you live in big cities, like you'll always see someone touching themselves on public transportation, and you'll always like see some type of like street fight, But my dad grew up in U City. He went to U City High School, so I know a lot about the Loop. And then I just got an email from the other day. It's no joke. One of his first apartments here was named. This is not a nickname. It was called Whispering Ghettos. It had a sign.
Wow.
That was what it was called.
That's incredible.
Dude.
It's a very interesting name.
Yeah.
Man, just, with everything this year and and I guess just discussions about racism and thinking about growing up in the South and growing up in fucking Louisiana. Like I barely consider this South. And like St. Louis it's enough South that it makes sense to me.
Chicago people say like, oh, you're from the South.
Oh, compared to
like,
Chicago,
no.
this is the South. Like the pace here is slow enough that like St. Louis makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But it is not Louisiana. Like, man, I think about just a little shit. The town I grew up in Sulphur, like it was 25,000 people, 3% black, which is kind of rare for like a small Southern town. And, the area of town black people lived in is referred to as the quarters, and it's never thought of as anything. And I'm like, yo, they just call it the slave quarters. Like everyone's okay with that. And like, it never registers to me until I'm old enough.
Yeah,
right. And then I'm like, what the fuck?
There's a lot of those moments where I'm just like, what the fuck?
Because I mean, like my black friends in high school, like if I was going to drive them home, I'd be like, yo, like, where do you live, Sanders? And he'd be like, I stay in the quarters.
God, that's fucked up.
It's just so crazy.
Like I remember a girl I went to high school with that had an airbrush shirt that said quarter queen.
Wow.
Yo, like for real.
That's wild. It's almost like a new level of ownership of like the thing though. It's like it's super trippy. That's super weird. That's super, super weird. You're just like, yo, so everyone just says that and like it's okay.
No one running the numbers on what that's talking about.
You know what? And there's that everywhere, right? But like the South always seems a little bit
it's a bit slow.
Which I was so nervous about moving because to me it was the South was a culture shock.
Yeah,
like to me, and obviously it's somewhere I can.
Oh shit! Yes, you've gone from LA to now South Carolina.
I went from Chicago to LA to South Carolina. And I felt like Chicago, I was isolated in like
Greenville's the South,
right? It's the South.
Yeah, you're in the fucking South.
I could tell immediately, and it's super young and like the coolest city ever. Like the downtown's really fun and nice.
It's super rad.
There's so much going on.
I traveled out there a ton for work with the old job.
I can tell mostly just with it being in the Bible Belt. I have never been anywhere that was so religious and religion just in your face. And I was really uncomfortable when I first met
you. It's odd.
And then I finally just realized it doesn't involve me. So who cares, right? But at first I went to a chiropractor that I never went back to because I thought I was like, there was just so many Bible quotes everywhere.
Chiropractor that was also super into Jesus?
And I didn't know, their tagline was, we care, God cures. And I didn't realize that.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that was, and it would have been fine. But it turned out like just really creepy, just how excessive. I thought I was like, I thought I was in
something I would run as a hate brand tagline.
I thought I was like interested, and I just never. I got X-rays there. I never went back because I just felt so uncomfortable.
Christian music playing,
and I was like, it was like my first few weeks there, and I was like, oh my God, like holy crap! I've never had something like so branded in religion, or seen that. Even though like I went to Catholic school a little bit when I was younger, but like it wasn't really that big a part of my life.
Right.
So there's a ton.
Well, yeah,
you didn't
choose to go to Catholic school.
Right.
You were in.
And there's
Catholic
just a whole
school.
different culture there, and it was fine, and they were nice. I just was like, I couldn't get myself to go back for some reason. It made me just feel like super weird.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get it because I grew up. I mean, it was from growing up through, all of school was because Westminster, is a Christian school. Like I went to Catholic school the whole time before that, and I mean, obviously, grade school and stuff like all the way through that stuff is, it wasn't my decision, but it's super interesting, especially getting to college and being able to, making your own decisions and stuff like that. Like kind of being able to like, it was nice being able to kind of like figure out and like decide for myself, like, which I feel like a lot of people that are religious don't ever go through. Like they don't ever really like, do I really actually believe this? And they just end up sticking with it because of their parents. And like, for me, it was just like, well, I think there's like, I feel like there's a higher being, just being like an artist and stuff like that. But like, I don't feel like it's as narrow-minded as they talk about, like kind of like with everything else. And then just looking at people, and I'm just like, there's just no way this is how it works, man. I'm just like, this is too narrow-minded. I'm like, nobody can fucking like adhere to any of the things that you're saying, and like you guys don't. So like I don't. So yeah, it's just like, and then especially like that and other things just like totally just pushed me away from it because I'm just like watching him and like I'm like, you're so hypocritical about things. I'm just like, I can't get on board with anything that's going on here. So
no, it is really, really
interesting.
tough. It's really tough. I struggled with it being from the South with the religion thing. I'd say I probably punched out of all that at about 13 or so. Like I remember at some point just being like, this doesn't add up. Yeah. And I had a bunch of questions that didn't have answers, and it just didn't work for me.
Yeah,
you know,
that's the big thing. It's like having lots of questions.
And I get the community aspect of it. Like I get, because CrossFit pulled off the same thing.
There's a lot of Christian CrossFit and people sound like
right, and I get that overlap as well. But it is that community and group and this shared thing. To me, it's the rules and the business side of religion.
I was totally going to say, like, I remember when I was little, like talking to God, you know, I remember
I remember like sitting and praying.
Yeah.
But also, oh, man,
things haven't gotten worse since I stopped.
I do so bad in any place with rules or restrictions. And that's why I flourished. I flourished in public school when I left private school. My anxiety was better when I was in public school. There was less attention and focus on me and like scrutiny and judgment, I felt like. And I just did better in that environment. And then I just did better in big cities too. I just liked feeling more freedom.
Well, because there's some anonymity, right?
Yes.
To the city. Mm-hmm. Because no one fucking cares what you're doing. No one cares. Especially LA.
Right.
Everyone's so concerned about them.
Or there's someone way weirder than you.
Right? Like, oh man, the like homeless and everything. LA got weird.
And that's like, and that's what makes it hard to enjoy.
I bet, right? And then take away the part of LA of why anyone wants to be there, and it's the weather.
Yes.
So now I can't go outside.
Yeah.
So now it's just super fucking expensive.
Yeah. And I really feel for people who are like stuck there, you know, because of their circumstance. Because it's like, it wasn't, when I left, it was not a fun place to be.
But I don't know about stuck there because of circumstance, because if you're living there and you have a job, you can get a job somewhere else.
Right.
And then the other place is cheaper to live. And so I understand staying there because of family or something like that, right? But then that's a choice. So just admit to yourself that I'm here. I choose to be here because I think this is more important than the other thing, which is happiness or more options or any of that. And then fucking own that choice and say, I made it. I'm not a fucking victim.
Right.
Like, I don't know how much I believe that you're stuck. Like, homeless people leave cities and get to somewhere else.
It's true.
Like, they have no resources. There's also no anchors.
Yeah. That's the thing. I haven't had any anchors too. Like, I've really just like packed all my stuff in my car a few times.
And now that you work for yourself, like, how long have you done your own thing?
Since 2016.
Okay. Like, what was your last job? Just personal trainer? Personal
trainer manager at Lifetime Fitness.
Okay. Yeah. As soon as you got into doing your thing and made the leap, right? How quickly did you realize that you can't ever go back?
Oh, right away.
Immediately. Now, what was the push for you to decide, like, I'll do it on my own?
So, I was in like a fancier club, and people would bring in like their own thermometers and be like, it's this temperature here. And I'm like, I was super into powerlifting. And I was like, I just want to teach people.
Wait.
Yeah.
Back up this thermometer thing.
Yeah.
Like as in temperature of the gym?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they bring their own fucking thermostat?
Thermostat is what I meant. Yeah.
Well, thermostat would be the thing that actually adjusts temperature. Thermometer would judge the temperature.
Yeah. They would be like, it's this many degrees in here.
Are they just giving facts, or do they have an opinion on it? Do they want something to change?
They want something to change. Okay. Yeah. Whether it's too hot or too cold. Like it was like, and it was super like membership driven, obviously. We were trying to make money. And so my job became more membership driven, which I suck.
What's a membership cost at this place?
Which I don't know a lot, but
was it?
Okay. I mean, I forgot a lot. I mean, like, depends how many people or whatever, but maybe like 150 or
okay,
200
so like
or-
150, 200 bucks a
yeah,
month.
$200 a month, whatever, you know, like for me, like
All right,
to
if I'm
train,
paying 200 bucks a month, yeah, I
like a personal training session with you was like 120
sure.
and like they took most of it, you know.
I'm
like-
just trying to think if like if I'm going to pay that much, do I give enough of a shit? Because like,
But they wanted to complain. Like I wanted people who wanted to be there. I wanted people who wanted to train with me. So when I was self-employed, I was like, this is what I do. Like, this is what I can give you. Do you want it?
fuck
You know?
yeah.
All right. Yes, you're here. Like, you're awesome. Like, I'm attracting the type of people who want to work with me instead of having to convince these people to do it the way that I want. Like, obviously I have their goals in mind, but it's like, this is how you get there, not me like us dancing around, doing this.
That's another one of those things that, questions and advice kind of go this route. And it's like, I can't want it for you more than you want
Right.
it. Like, it'll never fucking work.
Right. And I was over it. I'm like, I'm not going to like, if I'm trying to help people, like we can't change people's minds.
No,
So let's
man,
just focus on the people who want
I
help.
want to know that you're already on the gas.
Yeah.
And you're just trying to get a better compass.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's where I want to help. I can't step on the gas for you.
Right. And that was just so frustrating because like because it doesn't matter to the company. They just want, to make money. Right. I get it. And so it was like, so I'm not really making a difference. I'm just taking people's money, taking people's money, and I don't even get all the money, So, and I just wasn't motivated in climbing that ladder in that way. I'd rather be like putting something full force, something I believe in and I want, like I believe in my own brand. I believe in myself. I believe that, I'm going to do the best for the person. I'm not going to have these like, other motives.
Man, I'm still wildly confused with how you got from debilitating panic attacks, right, to this, because it seems like a pretty short window. Or were you still having panic attacks like in high school?
No, I was still having panic attacks in high school. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was definitely, a girl, who had depression, anxiety, and panic attacks. But the panic attacks were less frequent and I'd have like bouts of it.
Okay.
And I was still like taking Xanax and stuff like that.
So, I mean, did it really start to change when you started training or had a boyfriend that was doing the bodybuilding and exposed you to it?
It changed when I went to college in Chicago. Like maybe like my senior year or something in high school, I started having less and getting more and more in control of it.
Yeah.
And then a huge growth period happened when we moved to Chicago just because you're like in this city. It's literally like, all right, here's your train card. You get rid and you figure things out. You figure out how to get point A, point B. You figure out how to get your classes. You figure out how to make friends. You figure out how to, do everything, get a job in the city and stuff like that.
And maybe the ability to blend in a little bit more.
Right.
Whereas, in a town where everyone and everyone's already got a thing about you.
Right. And it's a new start too.
Yeah.
And
you can be whoever fuck you want,
whatever
man.
you want. And yeah, it was so much fun. It was like, and what's weird is I thought I was going to fit in really well at my art school. I was like, I'm a scene kid. I'm on MySpace. And everyone was already into like Crystal Castles and all these like indie bands and stuff like that like, I had no idea about. I didn't know. I was like, I like hardcore music. Who's with me? Like,
right.
Let's get lip rings, And I'm like, shit.
Did I miss the window here?
So
Fuck.
I didn't even like, and there's no sororities or anything there. So like I actually like would start going to hardcore shows alone and I met all my friends there.
Hell yeah.
And so, I start personal training actually over the river in Indiana. And then moved back to St. Louis. It was personal training, but I moved back to Chicago. That is when I had that management position, which people bring thermostats to the gym. And then I was in Chicago when I self-employed. So then all these people are like, wow, I want to be your client. I know you from the music scene, or I'm an artist. So I had all my clients were photographers, sculptors, like in bands, like cool ass people who I wanted to work with.
Yeah.
So it was like super hard to leave because they all were so cool.
Man, the music scene's so fun.
Right. And it's so funny because like I totally have skipped out on so many like opportunities to see like shows, especially when I was in LA. And now that the pandemic took away shows, I'm like, I just want to go to a concert really bad. Like that's all I want to do is just go.
Man, I had a great window of that. I guess like 2001 to probably 2000. Oh shit, if I'm honest, I'd probably say 2010, 2011-ish. that I had on and off like tour managed for a buddy's band, and just was really close with him. And so just went to a ton of shows, and like I had tour managed for part of a Warped tour, and like we had got signed with Interscope, and like toured a bunch and did all that. And I fucking loved that job.
Yeah.
Paid shit. I remember when I had to quit. And then I remember talking to the manager, Bird, at the time, and he was like, we can pay you $500 a month for like being on the road all month. And like, this would be my only job. That's it. And I'm like, oh man, I can't make $6,000 a year.
Yeah.
Like that's not going to work for any of the things I have going on. Like I have a house and a bike shop that's currently failing. Fuck, man. Yeah, but it was fucking good. Like living in a 15-passenger van with 6 dudes and like just being ratty.
Well, that's the thing too. It's like a lot of it, I never like toured with the band, but like all the fest require travel, and you get to go with your friends and have like a 5-day road trip somewhere and then stay in a shitty motel. It was so fun, you know? And now I'm like, man, I cannot believe I did all those miles and I was so young, and I just,
it's so fun though, right?
Yeah, and
like,
I think that's why I lived in Chicago. You just felt like free and like just like you could like run around the city and stuff.
So
and, like,
so what years are you in Chicago?
From 2008 to 2013, and then 2000.
Man, so you're like Fall Out Boy's killing it.
Yeah, for sure.
Fall Out Boy is fucking killing it. It's fucking Pete Wentz's city.
Yeah, and then.
Just swoopy heron and white belts all over the place, man. You're fucking getting nowhere.
I know, for real. And then 2000.
Not a quad in the room.
Nope.
2016 to 2018.
Bunch of dudes at shows just looking at their feet and shuffling. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Fuck yeah. Hardcore shows are fun too. I wasn't as nearly as much part of that scene, but we did end up playing some shows with other bands. Like we'd opened for the Bled. They were fucking rad.
Yeah, they were.
And then we'd opened for Every Time I Die, which that's a weird cross of paths.
Right.
That at the time, like I didn't know any of those dudes or really make much of a contact. And then some 10 years later now have become friends again with Andy from the band. And so like, it's weird to be like, we met and like hung out for a bit, like backstage at a show. And not only that, like it was actually like a thing happened. So it doesn't just blend. And so like there was an issue where one of the security dudes at the place at the warehouse in Houston, fucking hit their singer Keith. Cause he had like the security dude had fucked up a fan. And so Keith went at him, and then Keith's now got this gash in the fucking back of his head and is bleeding pretty fucking considerably. And so like, I'm backstage with my dudes who we knew the dudes in the Bled, and, something pops off after they got off stage. And so like they're in another room with all the security dudes. And so the dudes from the Bled come and grab me, and they're like, shit might be going down. We're going to need you in there. And I'm like, oh, okay, here we go.
There was always shit going down too. So that was always part of it. I feel like people were always just getting in fights.
Well, yeah. And then I'm the biggest dude in that whole room, you know, just even being at that point too. Like I'm probably 285, 290.
Yeah.
And you know, there's no one in that scene who's my size, especially not that lifted.
Right.
Right. No, if you're my size, it wasn't looking great. It wasn't a lot of dudes my size taking care of themselves in that scene. And oh God, man, did you work in bars or do any of that?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you survived. Fuck, those years are rough too, but they're informative, I suppose.
Your career and like the things you have done are just wildly diverse. Like I just learned last week that Matt like tattooed, and I'm like, what? I didn't. I'm like,
I worked at a tattoo shop for like 2 years.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, like,
I've done everything for 6 months. That's basically what it is.
I feel like that a lot of my life was like, all right, real fast.
What any weird jobs? So no, you didn't. You essentially just went into personal training. Like before that, did you have weird weirdo jobs?
No, I didn't have weirdo jobs. It just like felt like, one thing to the next or like one move to the next. I just felt like everything was like pretty fast. Like, I'll try this city for a little. I'll go back here. I'll do this, that in that way. I didn't have anywhere jobs. I mean, I was mostly in the food industry. So worked at restaurants, waitress, hostess.
See, I've never waited at a table.
Yeah.
I worked in a kitchen. I liked back of the house. I knew I'm personable. So I know that I could do the waiting tables thing. And I could probably be good at it, but I would fucking hate it.
Yeah.
I know that I could make money at it, but that wouldn't be rewarding enough for me to kiss ass and do the thing to be good at it.
Yeah. I was an intern most of like my college career. So it was like, then after college, I was like, that's when I kind of was like, in the food industry again.
Who'd you intern with?
For like marketing and PR companies and stuff like that. So in design. And so that was fun. But actually my first job, I was lifeguard.
Yeah.
And I was 14.
Hell yeah. So what pool around here?
Manchester Pool.
How's that pool, Brent? What do you mean you don't know?
I don't know. There's a lot of pools.
Come on.
I mean, our pool at Westminster is pretty cool.
Oh, bragging. No one's asking about the Westminster pool.
Well, I don't know this one.
All right.
So I'm just going to talk about my pool.
Lifeguard, you have to save anyone, like pull anyone out ever?
Not seriously.
Okay, just bullshit.
Bullshit.
Yeah, okay. Some fucking kid.
Someone going down a slide, and getting disoriented type stuff.
Getting disoriented on the slide.
But like one of the tests that you have to do is pretty brutal. Like you have to flutter kick on your back for a number of laps with holding a brick on your chest.
Oh shit. Navy SEAL training these 14-year-old girls.
I could have saved someone. Like an otter.
In what scenario would you have to save someone? Did you guys all of a sudden end up in the fucking ocean?
That's what it seemed like. I was ready though. I was ready.
That's
for
good,
a very large pool.
Look, with that said, let's not lower the standard for lifeguards.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Let's keep that bar where it is. If that's what we're doing with kids, perfectly. Let's just keep that happening.
Now I realized how young I was. I was like, oh my God.
So what do you think about the CBD joints?
I love it.
It's great, right?
I love it. I told you that I like smoking stuff, but I don't really have
but you're not into weed.
I'm not into weed and I don't smoke cigarettes. So I think I
never got into cigarettes.
I got into cigarettes because I didn't drink or smoke. Really
you were straight edge. You needed a thing to do being in bars.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, I guess if I was straight edge, I wouldn't smoke. But before I was straight edge, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know straight edge was a thing. So I had no one to say I'm doing this now. So I smoked cigarettes and I loved it.
Did you ever get any straight edge tattoos?
No, I didn't.
Oh, good work.
I didn't.
Good
somehow.
That's a thing.
Oh, fuck yeah, it's a thing, dude.
But I really did think, I thought that someday that maybe I'd have like a glass of wine or something like that. But like maybe when I was like 70, but I didn't think it was going to happen when I was 30.
Okay.
I thought cause last year I was like, nope, never going to do it. And then all of a sudden I was like, life's short. I feel like this is a control issue I have personally. And I feel like I should experience more things.
Yeah. So what was the big turn off to fuck that?
So, which is weird because everyone thinks, is it alcoholism in your family or anything like that? It wasn't anything. It has to do with like my panic disorder. Like one of my main fears was throwing up.
Oh, shit.
That's what my phobia was around. I was so afraid to throw up.
I can definitely tell you I'm not afraid to throw up.
I would have been I'd rather someone break my arm than throw up.
Is there a name for
I don't know.
Not being scared of throwing up? We can Google that.
Yeah, Google that. And so and I knew that people drank. You could throw up.
It is a possibility.
Especially like a young mindset.
Sure.
You see that.
Yeah.
And then high school parties,
that
you see
equals
that.
puking.
And so that's what stopped me initially. And then also being sober while everyone, when they're younger and they're binge drinking, the way they act, I was like, ew.
You wanted the fear of throwing
I
up.
didn't like it.
The fear of throwing up thing for me seems like that feels like a really young thing. But if you're thinking about drinking.
Right. And I mean, because I knew people who drank when I was 6th grade, 7th grade.
That's about when things got cranking
and I was
for me.
I was still like that, so I didn't. And then I saw the way people acted and a lot of my friends making poor decisions. And I just was like, I'm not into that. I'm not.
Yeah, right.
And then I tried smoking weed a few times, and that gave me anxiety as well. That kind of made me anxious.
Fuck.
And so
I have no case of that.
And then I started smoking cigarettes because I had a lot of friends who did it too. And it just like was a thing to do, and I enjoyed it. Sure. And then I quit. And then I was like, I'm not doing anything ever my whole life. Like, and I just never did. It's just, no, you just knew I didn't. And I had a lot of friends who did it. I hung out with people who did, things.
Okay. So you weren't like into the hardcore straight edge scene. You just weren't interested.
Right. I felt like at the point where I decided like I am straight edge, I was too old to be like, I am straight edge, So like I was just like, this is like this is what the lifestyle I want to live is called. And like I do think it keeps me disciplined and focused. Now I know that there can be a balance of like, all right, it's nothing that's distracting me from like what I do and my goals.
Not
so
only
it's like
that, the straight edge culture always fucks me up because it's this really hard line on a lot of stuff with no experience of it. And then steroids seem to be totally cool.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. Like that's
I just don't understand. They're like,
fine.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah, I guess and that's like the one thing it's hard. It's like I don't think you can define what's.
Well, to me, then,
right,
then the rule that you're saying, to me,
right.
if I'm analyzing that as not a hardcore person or have ever asked one, which I could probably just do that, is that as long as it's enhancing your performance as a person, it's cool.
Sure. I mean, I've never read like any type of like book or rules
I
or anything.
don't know if
like
there's
that.
a literature on hardcore.
Yeah,
and
I was
steroids.
never like, but yeah, that's definitely, a thing, and it just.
Yeah, it's super common.
It's super common. And it was just nice to have people that I fell in line with because I didn't drink, I didn't enjoy partying or going to bars. I'm like pretty low key.
I can't imagine going to a bar and not drinking being very fun at all.
Being a sober person and hanging out with drunk people is super fucking lame.
Right.
Hanging out with drunk people is super fucking lame.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was it. It wasn't hard for me. People are like, oh, you're so disciplined for doing that. I'm like, I just didn't want to. And now if I want to, I do,
Yeah.
It. And,
but like, I don't remember I said that so the main guy I competed against, like my nemesis, if you will, was Dan McKim. And Dan is straight edge isn't the word. It's so religious that nothing's on the table. So Baptist, in Kansas, Earth is 6,000 years old. Bible is a textbook is Dan McKim. Would like leave after a contest to go fly back home on a red eye to make sure he could teach Sunday school on Sundays. Needless to say, we're on opposite ends of the spectrum
right.
of our ideas of things. And, God damn it. I don't know where I was going with this now. The straight edge. And so like Dan's never drank, never said fuck, like never had a cigarette. And so like just chatting with him and I'm like, man, like now's the time to drink. And he's like, he's kind of laughing. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, you skipped that window of going to buy a 30 pack of fucking Miller Lite to get shit faced. And so like now you could actually have like a nice drink.
Right.
Drinks, yeah.
Because the person who made that drink gave a shit about it. Like craft beer or any of this other stuff. Like instead, like now I want to taste something the way I give a shit about food or any of this. So like, this is to me more of an enjoyment of a gift, even if I'm going to fit it in lines with the Bible, which doesn't seem to have a problem with alcohol.
Yeah. And I also feel like I saw a lot of people coping with things like their anxiety and depression with alcohol and even weed. And I wanted to be like, hey, I'm dealing with this on my own. And I feel like now I get like, you can still like be doing these things and, not relying on it. But I think I just want to take my power back in that way, saying like, I did this. I don't need anything to numb me out. Cause there's for so many years, I just wanted to be numb. I'm like, I'm going to deal with this and feel it all. And that was really important to me. Just like, and I think it was just like my pride, too,
that's
of
awesome.
that. And now I'm kind of over that. I feel like I can let that go.
Well, you learned the lessons, right? Like you accomplished the goal of those things, of being able to take control and have it and have ownership of it and not lean on a crutch, right? And because you've now got that foundation and it's fucking rock solid, you can now dabble.
Right.
Right. You can now experiment with things for like what I said. You're not trying to get fucked up. You're not trying to not be you. You're trying to enhance a thing. And I mean, that's one of the things I took away, a big takeaway from when Bonnie and I went to Rhythmia last year was one of the integration classes. And it was somebody asking about, well, how do you guys feel about pot? Like that was, everyone had questions about how do you feel about these other drugs while we're here to fucking do ayahuasca. And it was like, I think the reason you take the chemical is the important one. And Bonnie and I talk about this too. Like, are you drinking or smoking to connect or disconnect? And as long as it's connect, it's all right. But if you're doing it to get away from problems and disconnect, that's a trap. And you have to avoid that one. Like you have to get your shit in line first. And so, I mean, for me, like I don't drink really at all anymore. I did for a long time. I don't have any problem with it clearly, but I mean, it's just the older I've gotten, like I don't appreciate that chemical anymore.
Right.
That chemical doesn't serve me well. And so now at most it's like, I'll drink fucking 1 drink a month, probably, but I'll smoke every day. And it's, that chemical does me great fucking wonders. It, shuts my brain down a little bit more to just let me relax on thinking of all the weird problems to solve business wise.
Right. Yeah.
And so because I operate really well in sprints, and so like if I'm going to get up and I'm going to work, I'm in and I'm locked in and I'm not thinking about any other bullshit. But when I need to get away from it, I need to be as far away from it as I am in. I can't run half speed on it for a long time. I need to be fucking full gas and then done.
Yep. That's exactly how I am. I need that boundary there. Like I'm on, or I'm off for a little bit.
Yeah.
You have to have that. And like when I was in LA, I didn't have that at all because I lived alone and all I had, I obviously really care about what I do. So I just like went, go on it. And there was no off button.
No.
And whether or not that was productive of me being on, a lot of it wasn't. A lot of it was thinking about it and worrying rather than being productive with it.
I think it serves a purpose for a point, but it's not sustainable.
Right.
Like
right.
there is a point where you have to run every job. That's how this works. You need to learn all the skills. And like, I think it's important too, that no matter what your business is, you can do everyone's jobs. I mean, I have a super rad team that does stuff that's more talented than me at all their jobs, but I can take photography. I can fucking edit photos. I can get stuff on the website for the machine to keep running with or without you. So I like that I know I can do the job and I'm also not trapped or owned. So I like choices. And we can either choose to continue to work together because it's mutually beneficial or we go separate ways. But what'll really help you is like the fact that you're treating stuff with the sprint and that you're fully focused whenever you are focused. Now you'll narrow down the thing to be focused on. Because even like video editing, that's a big one. And that was for sure the thing I needed help with the most because it's just so time consuming. And not only that, with YouTube, like that monster has to be fed. And I like editing video, but I'm not passionate about video editing. So let me try to find someone who is and let's see if they can do it better. If they can give all of their focus to that narrow thing and then I can do all of mine, like we should be able to go further.
Right.
And so yeah, I do think building your team, it's super important, and I put it off way longer than I should.
Right. And that's how I feel too. It's just like
just long enough.
Yeah, right.
Just long enough. Yeah, that's totally where I'm at right now. And I'm excited to get on it.
Yeah. And look, and I also think, I think you got the best version of me to manage the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like 4 years ago, or like while I was still competing, like he's a different dude, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, this is a way better guy to work for. But yeah, I think you're fucking killing it, man. And it's been fun to watch, because we met the first time at the like super training meet in Sacramento.
Yep.
That we lifted
like
at
2 years ago.
Yeah. That was my last my last bench. So that was just before knee replacement.
Yep.
Or just before. And so it was the biggest bench I've ever hit at that body weight. So I lifted at 242 and benched 440. And so that was fun. Those were fun to do. I was always stoked that Mark had gave me an opportunity to come to put up a number and it not have to be in a powerlifting meet with all the rest of the bullshit, because I don't care about any of that. Like I don't need to win a thing, or I don't care. Like I don't need a trophy for it. I just want to lift and have these people say it was good or not.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. But yeah, that's the first time we met.
Yep. Yeah. And yeah, it's cool. Like the longer you're in it, it's always neat to see who's around.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some of you that feel like we've been through it. Like even like there's a mutual, like we've been around for 5 years. Like just, we know.
Yeah, I'm determined. I'll be around. I love it too much. It's
good.
Like,
well, and you're really just catching stride in sport.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's how I feel. It's like, I felt like I had to learn a lot and catch up on a lot and, you know, figure things out for myself, you know, and just spending time figuring things out, especially in LA. First, like being my own business, you know, and then things in LA, I feel like things have definitely are coming together where I can be like, all right, now I can figure out my next step. You know, what do I want to put my focus on? You know, I have the right people in my corner, those kind of things. So I'm so stoked on it. I'm like, it's kind of one of those things that's like, all right, like you forget about those like moments where you're like frustrated and you're kind of like, oh shit. Cause like now I'm like, everything's good. Everything turned out great. I can see, I'm hopeful and I feel like, you know, awesome and great, you know, now.
I mean, I was, you know, think about, you know, you moving to LA and doing your own thing. Like, yo, the confidence boost of like, you didn't fail and leave LA. You said, I'm done here.
Yeah.
Right. Like you fucking went to LA on your own and fucking made it. Like I've done some cool shit, but I've never bailed off that far across the country with like, I'm going to give it a go.
Yeah.
It was a crazy move. It was I put everything from, I moved all this is before I learned how to ask people for help.
Weird.
I had to learn these like really basic lessons. I feel like in the last few years. So I feel like I'm catching up on this. I put all my stuff. I had a ton of friends in Chicago. I never asked anyone, put all my stuff into my car. And then I left I drove it to a client's house, left it there. I went to Europe with my family. I went to Germany, and that's where I started my website and like all my forums and stuff. And then I launched it when I got back to the States, and I drove my car to St. Louis, and I shipped my car to LA. I didn't have an apartment. And then I flew to LA, met my car up there, and then I stayed in an Airbnb in Long Beach while I started my business and was looking for apartments. So I didn't have anything.
Wow.
And I don't realize how crazy it is until now. But that's just like how I was. I was like, I'm done here. I got to go. I'm going. I feel like I need to be here. I need to be doing this, you know? So, and I do it. And so, and then I'm like, I get there. I'm like, oh shit. Maybe I should have like, you know, maybe I should have had like more patience or researched just a little more, thought about it. But like, you know, it was like kind of like a fast track to me. LA, it was like, I got what I needed in 2 years, which was really good times. I went to some really cool things, like the Santa Monica, like Strongman show was there. Like all this cool stuff, met a lot of cool people. And then learned all those valuable lessons I needed. And like was most important around more people who do or want to do the same thing that I want to do.
It's huge.
So I like got to see what they're doing, seeing the mistakes they're doing, and seeing what's good
see
for
what
them.
works.
And I'm like, you know, it got me even more comfortable, like being like, hey, I'm trying to hire a videographer for a promo to shoot a video of me doing lifting things. You know, like even those things I think are hard for people to do. And I think people get frustrated when they're like, no one's listening to what I say. No one's paying attention to me. I'm like, well, guess what? I paid someone to take a picture with me. You know,
Right.
it's not that all these people, you know, you need to put yourself out there.
You absolutely do. Like, I mean, I was thinking about this as I was talking to my old videographer, that whole making that decision of that left or right to put yourself out there. I mean, like one of the things I did years ago is a YouTube series, the Drift to Lifta. And like the first year I did it was 2015. And so me and my buddy Brock, my videographer, we flew to San Francisco and I interviewed Kelly Starrett and his wife. And then we did a training session and then grabbed some food in San Francisco and like checked out this other rad bar and like filmed this TV show. And like I did that once a year for 5 years. And like that season for the first year was going to see Kelly and talking to him and then doing mobility stuff, training with his weightlifter, Diane Fu. And then I interview Mark at Mark's house, like as Slingshot's getting started, basically. And yeah, it's only 4 years in at that point. And so it was this really weird thing that like, I fucking paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I spent like fucking $9,000 of money I super fucking didn't have to do that with. But I felt so fucking compelled that I had this rad story I wanted to try to share with people. And while that whole series, and I did it for fucking 5 years. The last one we did, we went to Iceland and I just fucking paid for it because I wanted to do it. And it never popped.
Yeah.
Like I've never had a video go viral. I've never had something take off ever. It's always just been this slow build and cool because that's sustainable. And I know it's not going anywhere.
Right. Yeah. And you got to care about it. I get it. It's just like, you got to like be doing, you know, have some type of project that you're like, I want people to know this.
Yeah, that I have to make this. Mm-hmm. I feel, look, I have to roll the dice and no, I can't go forward thinking about, man, I wish I would have.
Right. And I've always come out of those with like, either it succeeded or like, it wasn't a bad experience. And I have the most valuable, like, lessons and experience from that, like
for sure,
you know, 5 years from now I'm going to do a show and, you know, have these skills for it or something like that. You know, I feel like that's why I said yes to so much in LA is because like I want to get used to doing this. I want to get used to, you know what it's like to do this or be in front of the camera with this or like I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm going to do it, right? So, you know, I'm keep doing it because I'm going to do it anyways. I want to do it. So.
And lucky enough, right? The thing that we got good at, which is the strength sports or any of this other stuff, there's never a way to sneak in. And like, there's never a way to fucking go viral to get good at it. Mm-hmm. The only way to get good at it is consistency and time.
Right.
And so once you figure out that recipe and then you can translate it to like, okay, cool, I'm going to start a company. Then I'm expecting to be good at this. I need repetition. Right.
You got to go.
You have to start making mistakes and start fucking making moves.
Mm-hmm. You just have to go.
When you started everything, did you trademark and do the business license and open bank accounts and do all that?
No, I had no idea because I was so like, I'm starting this. I'm going to just learn as I go. Right.
Does.
No, I didn't think so.
No one fucking does.
And then you kind of backtrack, you go, oh shit. And you kind of backtrack, you know, and I feel
you're like, shit, this is working.
And I've kind of, I'm like, oh my God, now I have to like figure out like what I'm making or All right, let's
Right.
not, let's
Taxes, you
let's
say?
not like everyone's just like, oh, what? So it's a lot of that figuring out, but it's like, and I feel like that is something really interesting that I've like really devoted myself the last maybe like 4 months or so just to start learning and like get better and be smarter at.
Yeah.
And because I realize how important it is. And that's also just like, all right, well, I have to run my business that I have. I'm the one who has to run it. And that's where it comes to like delegating for other things, like there's just important things I need to put in place.
Oh, yeah.
Have some structure. But yeah, no, I just did it. And everyone's like, what do I do?
Jesus,
I'm like, the
fucking
least
change
important
to paying
shit.
sales tax
Yeah.
in every fucking state on the internet, which is incredible that it wasn't a thing before. But now, of course, it is, since there's so many transactions that are happening there. Of course, you have to pay sales tax in the state. But fuck me, that process is really hard to get dialed in to pay taxes in all those states.
And then you always kind of second guess yourself to
It's taken my fucking accountant a year and a half to get accounts set up for us to pay them. All we would like to, but the goddamn government agencies are so awful.
Behind.
And like, oh God, because there's no competition. It's the worst websites in history.
Dude, I just like hire like someone like to help you.
They just don't care.
I don't understand.
We have to make the
wild.
website so bad that it slows down the progress to get to a person. So slow that it's like only one will get there at a time.
It's absurd. It's absurd.
But any business that did that, if it wasn't mandatory for them to fucking be used, would never make it. Goddamn. The worst paying. Ugh. Just make it easier for me to pay you.
I know. That's the worst.
I don't want to pay you.
It's like you could literally tell me the exact amount I have to pay you, and you just decide, no, figure it out for yourself. And if you get it wrong, you're fucked.
Oh, damn. Cool. And here in Missouri, for me to get, I'm trying to register the El Camino I bought fucking 3 months ago, at least. Probably 5 months ago.
No, I think longer than that.
Yeah. And like the process to register it, so it's an older car, so I have everything on it. I had to go get it inspected. I had to get a few things fixed for like a safety inspection, did paperwork, and I had to go up to City Hall in person, present all these things to this guy in this window, pay a fee, and then he handed me a receipt that I now have to mail with all of those things to a different place for them to then mail me my license plate. And like, I've now got my mail that I sent to them back twice, because one was like, oh, you didn't include a photo of the back of the title. So I did. And then they rejected the size of the envelope I sent it in.
It'd be very easy to do that. Upload that digitally.
Yep. Oh, okay. I sent in the wrong size envelope. Man, I want to play by the rules. For fuck's sake, I'm trying. Why make it this difficult? We don't have to do it that way. I'll never be one to really enjoy playing by the rules. It kind of fits, right? Like
right.
even the you going into strength sports, like that's not the average move for women.
Right.
But there's something you see there and go, I need to know.
Yeah, there was something I saw there that said, I need to know. And now it's like, I just need to know more. I know I'm not at my limit yet. So I'm going to keep going.
Hell yeah. I'm enjoying it, man.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm fucking loving watching it. It's super rad.
Me too. It's fun.
So where can everyone find all your stuff? We're coming up right on 2 hours.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Where'd the time go? ChristySenay.com.
There you go. Everything's there.
Everything's there. Or crispy _creams on Instagram.
Have you tried to get your actual name?
On Instagram? Yeah. No.
Mine's Matt Vincent. I fucking can't. There's
No,
9,000 of us.
You're saying Matt Vincent is a typical name?
Dude, I had a DM thread that started by some guy named Matt Vincent, and he just found all the other Matt Vincents and put us into a DM.
My God.
I like that guy.
I had that with the name Senay.
Come on. All right. And I was like,
So-
God damn it, people. Like who? And then the one the Matt Vincent, it has like 3 followers and nothing's been posted on it for fucking 5 years. Like,
oh yeah,
like
always.
I've
They
sent
just
a
claim the
DM.
accounts and then they just fucking.
Yeah, I've sent a DM and I'm like, I'll buy it from you because, I mean, I like my actual Instagram handle that I hate Matt Vincent, but it's now trickier for some people to find.
Right.
I think about it, say, with the Joe Rogan thing that happened a couple weeks ago, and he's like, oh, there's this guy, Matt Vincent, and he goes to look for it, and it's maybe not the first one that pops up. Fuck.
Yeah.
I'd like it to be a little easier to find, maybe be nice.
I know. That's like, it's crazy how like a name that you chose so long ago, you get stuck with.
Oh, yeah. Like you can't fucking change it.
Or there's no way.
Think about Mindy and Bacon and Biceps.
Right. That's
like,
my current predicament.
No
I'm just
way.
like, I really need to change my name, but no one's gonna find me now.
Just change it to Film Brand
really
Film.
Yeah, I'm like, it's not really a big deal because it's not like I have a bajillion followers, but still, I'm just like,
if you want to change it,
like,
now's the time. It's never going to be better.
Yeah.
It's never going to be fucking better to do it. We should do a hate brand contest and the winner gets to pick brands fucking Instagram.
oh my God, I'll just have a list and I'll just be like, all right, whoever wins gets to pick.
It's awful. No, they get to generate it too from scratch.
Oh, just auto-generate it?
Yeah.
Okay. Just
Dick Hunter. Send dick DMs is what I would change it.
Oh no.
Well, man, this has been awesome.
Yeah.
I'm super stoked to have you in and like, the first person to kind of get to play with the new studio.
I know. I feel so lucky. It's like,
yes.
I mean, 2021 is not disappointing. I feel like
hell yeah.
I'm excited to be on this team because it just, I don't know, it's good energy. Like
I'm stoked, man.
Keeps me pushing forward.
That's what I want.
Yeah.
Like that's fucking what I'm into is, and I want to see people do more and do better. And I've been really fucking lucky that this is all kind of worked out. And so the more that I can help other people try to figure their thing out too, like it seems to keep paying itself forward. So I'll just keep doing that. Yes. It feels good.
I mean, just a conversation does a lot too.
Right. And luckily I talk a ton. So that's great. So thank everybody for listening. Anything else you want to plug? Your training or training manuals or? Yeah,
just ChristySenay.com and Look Strong Naked, our power building program is coming out in a week.
And you do a Train Heroic as well, like we talked about.
I do a Train Heroic.
And so that people get access to you and everything.
Yeah, just on ChristySenay.com, and then you can click on Team Creams.
Is it more strongman based or is it?
It is more powerlifting strength based. So it's not going to peak you for powerlifting, but we go through like hypertrophy and higher volume cycles and a little bit into those strength cycles. So you get all your barbell lifts and it's barbell focused. It's no joke. Yeah. And the app's awesome. Like, so, we're using it too for the Daily Destroyer thing. And like, it's so nice that it calculates everything for people. That it is so trackable. And I'm thinking about bringing over my one-on-one clients over there too, because you can, as a coach, it's amazing. Also, like, it's just so easy to track your percentages and like what you've done before. Yeah. And I mean, if it makes you a more efficient coach because you have data to analyze. The data is like all there for you. So I love it. And so like, you can see like, hey, I'm getting stronger this program. Let's keep going. And man, I get super data driven. Me too. Training. Mm-hmm. And so like, it's tough because like now the cycling thing is mostly what I'm playing with. Mm-hmm. And, I'll get data driven on trying to always get faster or go longer. And so I've now having to take at least a few rides every once in a while and not have my computer. Yep. And just put it in my backpack and be like, yo, we're just going to go pedal for as long as we want to. Like this doesn't have a goal other than go ride your bike. Like the goal is the thing, right? Instead of like, I'm going to hold this mile an hour. This is what my heart rate currently is. I know you're not spinning, but I used to go to spin class and I had to stop because, I would have like a powerlifting or strongman competition coming up, but they would have the data on the screen and I would try to beat everyone in the class. Of course. Mm-hmm. So instead of going lighter, when they said lighter, I put it all the way to 10. Jesus. Because I was like, I know I can push through this. Yeah. And so I could win. So, and it's like, well, what was the point of the class? Right. For me to win. Right. This isn't fun. Yeah. I'm not having any fun doing this at all. I'm going max effort. Right. And no one in here realizes I'm winning. Yeah. No one cares. I'm going max effort. I have to train later. And I want to powerlift, not spin. So and my overly competitive stuff has faded a bit, so that's nice. But I remember being at a Highland Games and like one of the like
contest at lunch. They had like a haggis toss. It's for people in the crowd and shit like this, right? And it's this little brick of haggis. And so it's like a bunch of fucking like elementary kids and like maybe a middle schooler or two. And then me, who's out competing with the heavies, and like I'm drinking a beer and I'm like, I'm gonna go throw that haggis and I'm gonna win. And I just fucking crushed all these kids.
Dude, I was such an overly competitive child. It was insane. Like I remember, I very vividly remembered like telling my cousin that I didn't want to be friends with her anymore because she beat me in a soccer game.
Yes.
Like, I was just like, and we were all just
we
fucking
can't hang
crying
out anymore
because it was, I can't even remember how old we are. It was so funny, like little soccer. And I was just like, I can't be friends with you anymore because your team beat my team. And I was just like,
oh, amazing.
Oh man.
All right. Well, let's take this in for a landing. We'll wrap this up. Thank you guys for listening, and I will see you next time.